excited to be here.
Thank you for being here, especially ahead of these big upcoming few days.
Yes. This is the most fun we have in the whole year. This week is very special uptown because of EatUp and all the people that, that really helps us throughout making this festival happen.
Mm-hmm. So this is the third year that you've done this.
Third year.
If
you're ready.
Can you tell the audience, especially about what first inspired this?
I think there's a lot of things, but, Herb and I, we've been fortunate enough to be part or produced, as Herb has done, great festivals throughout the country, Aspen Food and Wine, South Beach in New York and so on. And we just felt like Harlem is such a unique neighborhood, and there's so many great hospitality experiences, not necessarily only through restaurants, but people cooking in the park or people doing, the best cornbread I ever had is in the church, for example. So how can you upload these incredible foodies that normally, is not part of the major festival? So Harlem is still in a world where most things are overexposed. Harlem's food talent is still underexposed. So we just felt that would be a great opportunity to show that to the world. And then obviously not just when you deal with Harlem, it's not just food. So it's also music and all of these things.
Music, it's art, it's the people. We actually thought this up one night, late, at another festival, the South Beach Wine and Food Festival. Yeah. And we just looked at each other and we said, it's time to do this and really to shine the spotlight on Harlem. And last year the reports came back that we brought people from 7 countries and 36 different states.
Wow.
So,
and this year is really special because we're honoring Jonelle from the Apollo, and we couldn't do this. When people think about Harlem, people think about Apollo right away. So the fact that we have a concert at the Apollo this year, it's a big deal to us. So how does that poster look like? How does that poster look like?
You mentioned the
Yes.
Well, you said
Let's see it. Yeah.
It's more than food. It's also about music, and Harlem has such music. It's a little band. So Billie Holiday got her start singing in clubs and bars in Harlem. So we're doing a tribute to Billie tomorrow night at the Apollo, and just amazing performers from Alvin Ailey Dance Theater Company is coming, and Ricky Lee Jones and Eddie Levette, Liz Wright, who channels Billie Holiday. And one of the things we just thought up when we were coming out here is just to celebrate this, we were going to make some tickets available to people who wanted them at $50 a ticket, which was 50% off ticket price for tomorrow night. And we're excited.
It's just cool. Mm-hmm. It's just like you, for me, we just talked about culture. It's a lot of festivals that have great music or they have great food. For us to be able to celebrate the culture in a fun way. And, we have Studio Museum up there. We have Schomburg. We have National Black Theater. There's so many great cultural institutions. And also the churches, when people come to Harlem, as a neighborhood, churches is definitely part of it. And when our festival, you sense church at the event. Mm-hmm. There's gospel choirs at the event. There is it's just a very unique New York experience.
Yes, and for the food aspect of it, one big part is pairing Harlem chefs with chefs from New York and all around the world who don't cook up there. How do you make those pairings? There's some really unique and special ones.
Yeah, the weirder the better. It's always the motto.
The mashup.
The mashup, right? Like one of our favorites is when Danielle Ballou cooked at Sylvia, for example, or this year we have Dominic Cran, like an incredible 3-star Michelin chef coming all the way from San Francisco that just wanted to come. Herb and I would like to think for us, but it's not for us. It's because of Harlem. So it's just cool events like that and celebrating, the diverse landscape of cooking that normally maybe, we can do it as an industry. We can do a better job of that.
Yes, certainly.
There's a huge French population up in Harlem. They love the jazz music, and so they're just like beyond themselves that Dominique is coming, and Daniel Ballou, who's also a spokesperson for City Meals on Wheels, actually be cooking with you tonight.
Tonight, yeah, we start.
Yeah, he's
start
taking
off
his
tonight.
stab at your fried chicken.
We have Michael White that lives uptown that has been kind enough to do it many times. Emery Lagasse, Bobby Flay,
Carla Hall.
Carla Hall is going to be great. Really fun to have Carla because she owns the stage, she owns the room.
Oh yeah, any room she's in.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Taliban is going to cook with, Veneteria, which is a great local restaurant. So it's just these great fun pairings. And the dine-ins are on Fridays. You can come up, experience that. We have, at our second location at Streetbird, we're going to have the dinner of the 4 J's. So we have Waxman, Jimmy Bradley.
Joey Campanaro. Yeah.
So it's just a good celebration.
Yeah, it's a strong group.
Talking about Carla, Carla is responsible for, I've never seen this at a festival like this, spontaneously starting dance parties, both day over the weekend.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, from nowhere, she was talking to us. She said, wait a minute, I'm hearing great music. She runs out there, and literally there was 600-700 people dancing.
Yes.
Wait a minute. Did you guys get the cornbread or what? Yeah. Well, how come there's more cornbread? I don't understand how there can be more cornbread to be had there. There should be.
I didn't get any cornbread.
You didn't get any cornbread? You know what you get? You get a hat.
Oh.
All right.
It's a good-looking hat.
We got a couple of gifts here, and I don't want to walk back with these gifts, so we'll make sure we have tickets, we have gifts.
We'll get you an RSVP on the cornbread.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for that. That's wonderful. And as you bring more attention and much needed exposure to Harlem and the dining scene, it really becomes a dining destination. Is there any concern that you have about Harlem becoming too much of a brand or losing that cultural identity? I
mean, there's always what I feel like what's happening. If you're just on our block right now where we are, it's packed with people. People are working. People are working in hospitality, and one of the reasons why I love that they work in hospitality is because it's obviously about people and interacting with people. And I think through Harlem EatUp, we touch over 15,000 guests coming, but 1,500 volunteers. The majority working for the event. Majority of them live in Harlem. So, I think Harlem's unemployment rate. The rest of the city is about 5% unemployment. Harlem has unemployment in the 20s. So as long as we can work towards pushing that down, even in the teens, until then, I'm not very worried about it. I look at it, for me, it's about identity, job creation, and making people come and engage in a magical American neighborhood.
Yeah, every element of this festival is built around respect for what Harlem is and has been for 100+ years. So it's building on that. We're celebrating the chefs in Harlem by bringing these celebrity chefs, if you will, up there. It's not about them. They know it. They feel great to be there. And it's helping to make a difference. Even with this concert tomorrow night, 2 of our sponsors stepped up, Aetna, and they're making sure that the elderly in Harlem are getting to come to this concert. They bought a block of tickets and literally through their volunteers and care workers are making sure they're going to the concert. And then you have another sponsor, EY, who's all about small business and entrepreneurs. They bought a block of tickets and are distributing them to small businesses in Harlem. So it's a win-win.
It's also about being sensitive to past, present, and future, right? So that will always be a very vibrant dialogue. People will always have different viewpoints, as they should. But I think it's important for us to create a festival. I think about a place like Tribeca. You think about Tribeca Film Festival right away. You think about a place like Austin. You think by Southwest right away. And that creates massive of work and opportunities. So it's a magical neighborhood that we're lucky and fortunate enough to be part of and be able to provide this festival. And hey, we just got to do a good job. That's it. Make sure people have a great time.
And you do such a nice job at making the events a wide range of price points, so it's accessible to a large group of people.
Well, there's a lot of sponsors that help us make that happen. That was one of the things, if you go to one of the other festivals, you need a lot of money. And we wanted to make sure something that was in and of the community. So a big part of the festival is for free. And that's thanks to the sponsors, that otherwise we couldn't have that whole free section.
And even the part that's not free, like on the Stroll on the weekend, which half is free, that's an $85 ticket against, in a lot of other festivals, is about a $300 ticket. And the costs are the same.
Wow.
So it's having those sponsors.
And you just debuted an app that also has a walking tour component as well, right? You did this thing for Detour?
Yeah, the Detour project is really through Detour, you can experience Harlem and all the magical, restaurants and culture center. You can go to Marjorie's The Parlor. You can highlight something like Aaliyah's Make My Cake. All these incredible things. You can go to Les Ambassades, an incredible Senegalese Parisian bakery. All these things that the community obviously knew about before, but maybe needs to be highlighted and put out front so people that are not in the community can be like, oh, I didn't know that. So that is another layer to Harlem EatUp. That is really a way to take small entrepreneurs and put them in mainstream media so they have an audience after the festival. People don't realize that the festival is actually 365 days. This week is just the week when we upload it. Yeah. So Detour is a major part of that, yes.
Great. And you're about to enter a brand new market in London.
Yes, in Shoreditch, East London. Who's from East London? Who's from London? I love that. Nice. Thank you. Yes.
Good, we've got one.
Are you from Hackney or where?
Well, I was actually born in Birmingham.
I love that. Cool. Are you Aston Villa or Birmingham? Aston Villa. Good. Just needed to know that. Yeah. And you have your mic in your hand, so you definitely have a question.
I wasn't sure if we're going to do a Q&A now, but I was going to
Go ahead.
When you have the mic,
Got the mic, go for it.
Ask that question.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious because we live in a city where it's like a huge melting pot of so many cuisines around. So I was just wondering, like with Harlem, like what types of cuisines are you guys looking forward to trying out?
Well, it's an excellent question. I mean, if you go from the east side of Harlem all the way to west, I mean, the east side where you have two of America's most iconic restaurants started, Rayos and Patsy's, which are Italian-American restaurants, started on the east side, right? And then you move further in El Barrio, which was traditional Puerto Rican, and you have incredible food from La Marqueta to Cuchifrito, and then you have now, it's majority a Mexican-American community, so you have places like Taco Mix. Then you come into Central Harlem, where your foundation is obviously the food of the South, Southern food, African-American, which is really the core of the cuisine in Harlem. And then you go further west in your little West Africa, Senegal, Mali, amazing food. And then you obviously have Chinese food everywhere, which is just, its own way mixed. Some Southern style on it as well. So it is so diverse. And I live there, so I see that when I walk around and taste all that. But to be able to upload it, and on the Saturday and Sunday stroll, you're going to see, you're going to be amazed, like, wow, I had no idea that Harlem had all these German Senegalese beer hall, right? Every beer hall should be German Senegalese.
Indian, Chawali.
Indian food.
Sushi.
So it's really like a typical New York neighborhood, but it's again for me a little bit untold when it comes to this food.
How do you decide where to expand Red Rooster? I'm sure you've gotten a million offers to take it. What compels you to actually expand it abroad?
I mean, the first answer is always no, not to expand it. I feel it's such a place in and of the community. But after 5 years, I felt like, you know what? If I'm going to do another Red Rooster, it has to be in a city or in a neighborhood that really speaks to me. And the borough of Hackney and Shoreditch really did. So to be able to open next week in London, in Shoreditch, is very, very special. And we're adding other things to it, too. In front of the restaurant, it's called Rosteria, which is really our Mexican-inspired from El Barrio with tacos and beautiful sort of Latin-inspired. No reservation. You can just sit down, walk in, and then you walk through the Rosteria before you come to Red Rooster London. So I never thought I would do it. I feel like so privileged to be able to express myself in London with the team. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
And how much of the menu from Harlem will appear in London? How much of it will be?
Well, it's probably 50% is the same, but the other 50 is really from the community there. You know, Shoreditch was traditionally a Jewish neighborhood and a Bangladeshi community. So we have a lot of things that are inspired by that. And then also we're closer to you know, my home roots. So there will definitely be some herring and some other stuff that we don't have in the Harlem restaurant. It's not just copy-paste. It has to be, you know, in and of. And it's taken the team 3 years to put it together. So in a social club called the Curtain Club, which is amazing, and yeah, it's just going to be a lot of fun.
Fantastic! You have a lot on your plate.
Yeah, but
to make a food pun.
it's all, you know, like we're teams. You know, like Herb and his team is doing an amazing job with the festival, and without the group from Rooster and Streetbird, we couldn't be able to do this. So it's very privileged.
Good. Well, there are so many fantastic events this weekend. I encourage everyone to go online and take a look.
Yeah.
And yes, we'd like to open this up to more questions from the audience.
Hi, Marcus. I was wondering how Harlem has influenced your culinary style.
A lot, actually. By the way, you already have a hat. You don't, so you got to get that. A lot. You know, I lived in Harlem 8 years before I opened Red Rooster, so it's about 14 or 15 years old altogether. And what I've learned through traveling to Japan and living in Switzerland and, you know, cooking in Midtown, I almost had to put all that aside. Because what I learned through those 7 years of just doing research was that the great food experiences in Harlem was sometimes in the restaurant, sitting at the counter at Sylvia's, it's absolutely amazing. Walking into Lennox Lounge when they have play music, seeing what Melba did. But I was more inspired by like Mike Crab, you know, when he chucks oysters right in front of the subway, or like, you know, when there's a family reunion in the park, or like when you have like rotisserie chicken from the Dominicans, for example, or the pernil over at La Marqueta. So none of that happened in restaurants. So I think the diverse community and the outdoor cooking that happened in Harlem really inspired the cuisine of Rooster the way it is today.
What about the empanada woman on the corner? Comes and goes
Listen,
as you want.
you go to the barbershop, people who go to a black barbershop, you know, you can buy anything, DVDs, you can buy sweet potato pie, you can buy, you know, it's constantly commerce, and I love that. The empanada lady, I love that level of entrepreneurship. Nobody's waiting around and say, hey, can you provide this for me? If you can bake, if you can cook, you bring it to the street and you sell it. And I love that. That for me is very New York, and it's also very Harlem. And that is something that we can all take part of and be inspired by, you know. You might not have a blog, but you might still be a good cook. How do you connect? Well, in front of the subway, there's a lot of people. How about take it to the subway? So there's a lot of things like that just directness. And it reminds me actually about Africa or being in Singapore or Southeast Asia where, you know, moms cook at home and then just take it to the street and sell it, you know? Yes.
Thank you for being here, gentlemen. So what type of challenges did y'all face entering this brand, this project?
Oh, challenges are massive. You know, people have this idea that, Herb talked about it before, people have this idea producing a festival in Harlem is cheaper. So therefore, we have no rights to charge anything. You know, like, I'm like, wait a minute, did you miss the discount email from our vendors?
Yeah. Or the city. There's a million moving parts, and I'm not saying that as a figure of speech. This is a 24/7, well, a 365-day exercise. And there's teams of people and 1,000 volunteers plus who are making the next 7 days happen. And it just all has to, and the more planning, the more stuff happens right. And to make it right, you got to like plan for anything that can go wrong. So you just work it through. We're not always right, but we hope we learn from when we're not right.
It is a simple thing that you just take for granted south of 96th Street, right? That there are farmers market, that there is high-speed internet. There is things that it's not even a fighting thing south of certain places. So all of fighting against those sort of things that, so why is the farmers market audience important. It's very important because they're very familiar what and how to experience a festival, for example. But right now there's 5 different farmers markets in Harlem, so we've been able to work with that. You know, we're. I do think the challenges makes you just stronger. I know it's a cliche to say that, but most festival actually comes out of a really bad situation. I know when Jane started Tribeca, it started after 9/11. People don't think about that today, that it was such a tragic event. Obviously, we didn't start with that tragic event, but we started based on it was not enough recognition of the great food entrepreneurs who were in Harlem. So there was another sad event about how you view systematically inner cities and what's our capabilities. So I was really inspired and talked a lot to Jane about how did you get going, and this idea that that you can have 15,000 people coming for food and beverages and hospitality. It's a sign of success. But a lot of people helped us. The first person that actually helped us was Bill Clinton. We asked him. He cut the ribbon. He was at the first interview, press conference, and he made sure that he brought his really passion for Harlem to the project, which got a lot of eyeballs to it. So we've had a lot of help from other people.
You know, it's hard every year, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say the first year is the hardest because people aren't sure what you're doing, and it's new, it's different, and it's not like Harlem doesn't have a zillion events already happening. So it was very important for us to engage the community, engage the influencers, and make this theirs, to the point where after we engaged them and they were now part of our steering committee, we're thrilled, and they walk around Harlem saying they helped create this and they're part of it because we want them to take that ownership. We want them to be part of this. And now, 3 years later, people know what it is. Word of mouth can make a festival or break a festival. And there have been some festivals lately that haven't done as well. You know, we're riding high at the moment.
But most good stuff comes from that, right? You think about all the great music that we all enjoy. It didn't come because it was easy. You know, it came because there was some hardship, or any culture, right? You know, it came out of that. So I think this festival it's inspired by that, by the generation before. And I think we have a way to stick together. Nina in the back there, she went to 8 different churches. She went to barbershops. Like, if you don't have hotels, like you would have in other communities, well, who are your hotels? Well, the churches are your hotels. So it forces you as an entrepreneur to always dig deeper and find new ways to connecting. And I find that's very inspiring, you know. Although, you know, they put in Second Avenue line and they decided, well, Harlem doesn't need that and stuff like that. So you're constantly in battle with systematic racism, which doesn't mean that people are racist, but there's a different way of that lens. And that's where you battle, but I also think that makes you really strong.
Well, thank you so much for being here and for putting all this hard work into this festival that brings so much joy and much needed attention to people doing great work.
Thank you. I mean, I have goodies left here, so you get a book.
He's got all these
thank
freebies.
you.
But what's up with the hat here? Yeah, you don't have a hat?
Now you do.
You have way
not
too nice
hat.
hair to wear a hat. Look at that. Like, no, your hair is perfect. But like, he has like a beautiful haircut. Like, you can't wear like a grimy
Cramp that
hat.
style.
That's great.
Well, thanks to everyone for being here too.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Come out to eat up.